As a lawyer, what is the craziest case you've had? Back in my greener days as a criminal defense attorney, I acquired a female client that beats them all. Jessica was in her mid-20s, a messy but somewhat pretty woman from northern New England with crooked teeth and a naive attitude. She wasn't winning any awards for good behavior, she had a record of minor legal trouble, but this time, the charges against her were serious. Her list of crimes was endless. Aggravated assault with a car, destruction of property, felony hit and runs, leaving the scene of an accident, negligent operation, evading police, etc. The charges just kept coming. I'd never seen such a long list before. The event in question allegedly took place at the Long Trail Inn. It's not an inn, just a run-down rowdy bar. Now, I always believe my clients are innocent, but as I read the police reports and witness statements, my heart sank. The evidence against Jessica was overwhelming. I thought, she's done for. I tried talking to the prosecutor to settle the case early, but he sneered, "Your client won't see freedom until hell freezes over." Short discussion it was. I figured Jessica would be lucky to get out of prison, but the old saw is true. Every story has two sides, and Jessica's version was completely different. It was altogether a different order of magnitude than the state version. After digging into the case, interviewing witnesses, reviewing evidence, and filing motions, the truth came out just before trial. At the final hearing, the judge looked confused. "What's this case really about?" he asked the prosecutor. The state gave a short, harsh summary, making Jessica sound like a criminal mastermind. I raised my hand. "Your Honor, let me explain." And then I told the real story with a few extra details I hadn't shared in court yet. A month before the incident, Jessica's boyfriend had dumped her. Turns out he'd been cheating with her best friend, and they were now getting married. Jessica, heartbroken, just wanted a night out to forget her troubles. She and a friend went to the Long Trail. The parking lot was packed. Cars everywhere, even spilling onto the highway. Jessica wondered what was going on. She slowly rolled past the door to get a look inside, see if she could recognize anybody. The bar was draped with ribbons and balloons. It was her ex's wedding reception. In dawning horror, she realized that this was her ex's wedding reception at the Long Trail Inn of all places. Who holds a wedding at a dive bar, she thought. But before she could leave, the bride still in her wedding dress appeared out of nowhere, high on something, wiping white powder off her nose. The bride had never liked Jessica. Without warning, she yanked open Jessica's car door, ripped off her seatbelt, dragged her out by the hair, and started punching her. Jessica fought back, grabbing at the bride's dress, hair, anything she could. Then the bartender shouted, "Fight in the parking lot, it's the bride." In seconds, the entire bar rushed outside, piling up in the doorway. Jessica's friend screamed at her to get back in the car. Jessica broke free, jumped in, and locked the doors, just as the drunk mob surrounded her, pounding on the windows, yelling threats. Jessica panicked, leaned on the horn and put the car in gear. Chaos followed. Drunk guests flew off her hood. She crashed into cars trying to escape, spinning gravel everywhere. Cops were called, and soon, half the county was hunting for her. Jessica hid until morning, then turned herself into the local PD the next morning. I was assigned to Jessica's defense. If the bride hadn't attacked her, if the mob hadn't rushed her car, none of this would have happened. The prosecutor tried claiming Jessica should have known her ex's wedding was there, but there was no proof. The state eventually offered to settle the case with a plea to a disorderly conduct charge, the most minor infraction available. Long story about how we finally got there. In my client's best interest, I decided against reminding the state's attorney of his famous earlier words, "Better to not rub salt into the wound." For the time now, pleading guilty to anything on these facts rankled my sense of fairness. But Jessica freely shared information with me that presented risks to certain aspects of her trial because the defense of her case nearly mandated her own testimony. But the bottom line is that trials are risky. From that perspective, the plea deal was vastly superior to chancing a jury verdict at trial. We agreed to the plea on the understanding that the state would investigate the bride for assault. 5 months later, the bride pled to a charge of simple assault against my client. Hell did not freeze over.